Uh, Desmond got named to the Senior Bowl today. That's a pretty good accomplishment. Something he's probably pretty much earned, too.
Oh, he's earned it. I'm proud of Desmond for that. He's been a real catalyst for us since the day I got hired, and the significance of recruiting him and getting him to stay home and come to school here, and then him growing up kind of in front of my eyes to the way he's playing now. He's playing like an All Pac-12 player, and very deservingly of the Senior Bowl recognition and any of the postseason recognition that he gets.
The depth of that position is probably better than it's been with Marcus Peters, and even Greg Ducre, I thought gave you pretty good snaps, or pretty good
I think
reps.
Greg has played really well for us in 3 consecutive weeks now. He made some plays there at the end of the Oregon State game. He made some plays there in the Cal game when Dez was down, and I thought he played really well again the other night against Utah. So I think it's coming with confidence and playing more, and it's a real credit to Keith Hayward and Justin and their style of teaching and coaching. I think has helped Greg quite a bit.
He was in the mix in terms of being a starter all fall, and then you don't get that starter spot. Some guys would kind of fall back a little bit and let that get to him.
Yeah, he's hung in there. Like I said, he's responded really well. I think the same can be said for Marcus Peters, too. Marcus didn't get the start right away with Trey getting the start, and Marcus got better and better and more consistent. And so the depth is still there, and we still have Trey. So the position for us looks a lot better now than maybe we might have anticipated, but it looks pretty good for us. And we've got a couple young kids with Cleveland Wallace, Brandon Beaver, and then the transfer Travell Dixon at that corner spot that I think can help us next year as well.
Sark, can you talk a little bit about the end of practice, and maybe looks like you gave him a little bit of a reward?
Threw him a little bone. It was awesome practice today. They were spirited. They were energized. It was highly competitive. I think you could tell that, whether it was in the one-on-one pass rush, the 7-on-7 periods, the no-huddle period, even in the special teams. I thought our scout team guys gave a great look all practice long. And, so when you can throw them a bone and trim a couple plays off the end of practice, they appreciate it. So, but they earned it. They deserved it. We understand this is an early kickoff for us on Saturday, and our energy is going to be critical when we come out of that locker room to the start of the ball game to start fast. And it was an emphasis for us today, and it will be throughout the rest of the week. And they responded.
What have you learned about in your career as a safety? What have you learned about the value of that with the reaction usually is?
Well, I think that with it all, it's we can as coaches, we want to be mentally tough, and we want to pound them and all that stuff. But at the end, you want them to know that you recognize when they're doing the things that you ask of them to do, and that's a way for us to show that we recognize and see the things that they're responding to from us. And in the end, it's a nice reward for them and something that I think they appreciate.
So much has been made of Austin playing some defense, and Kaysen says he wants to get into the mix too. Any thoughts about that?
Like I've said before, I think Kaysen could probably be a great safety for us as well, but we're okay at that position right now. So,
with a little bit of a winning streak going right now, confidence, swagger, how do you keep it in check?
You hold them accountable to the things that they need to be held accountable to, and I've said this all along. You never condone in victory what you wouldn't in defeat, and so all of the same things and issues coming out of whatever games they are, we address them, and we address them. I think really well as a staff, and I think the guys have responded to that. But I also believe that, like we've touched on with losing, sometimes losing can get contagious. So is winning, and winning's contagious. When you string some wins together, it's a little easier to get up in the morning, even when you're sore, and come to practice and work on the things and the little things to get yourself better. So through it all, the experience of playing football in general, but college football more specifically, you have to enjoy this experience, and even through some of our toughest times, we have a great deal of fun at practice. We work hard, but we have fun, and I never want to take that from our guys, because they put too much time and effort in not to enjoy the experience of playing.
You played down at BYU where there was a little bit of altitude.
Mm-hmm.
From a guy who played in it all the time, how much different? Is that even an issue, or are you going to rotate guys in a little bit more?
We'll rotate a little bit more. I think a little bit with it is you got to get used to the dry mouth. That's the biggest thing. There's a feeling of your mouth is just dry. It's a different air and all of that. And it's a little different day and age for us now. And now that with TV, there's so many more TV timeouts. There's so many more rest opportunities throughout the game. that I don't know if it has the same significance as maybe it had when I was playing, where you weren't on TV as much. The TV timeouts take such a toll on the game, where you can actually rest, more so than you ever would before. But we're going to account for it, that's for sure, and we're going to rotate guys, and you have to do it from the beginning. You can't wait till they get tired.
When you were at BYU, did you see it affect teams coming in?
I saw it more so early in the year because of the heat and the altitude. BYU is hot, and we learned that a couple years ago. We went there for the first game of the year. It can be almost, upwards near 100, plus the altitude if you're playing in the middle of the day. Then it can really take its toll. As it gets later in the year, I didn't notice the effect as much as I did early in the season.
And what does it do? I mean, for the layperson, what is?
Well, I think you get a little bit more out of breath. Your mouth gets dry. It's like if you're used to running 6 miles, you're probably, when you get there, you're only going to run 4.5 or 5. You just get a little bit more fatigue quicker.
Looks like you might catch a little break with the weather. I mean,
yeah, it's been fortunate. It's looking like we'll be, high 50s, maybe even 60 with sunshine. So that's the reason we've been in here, because there's no point in getting wet and playing with wet balls if we're not going to be on Saturday.
Coons has the huge leg. How far could he kick it in that altitude?
I don't know. I'm kind of, check him in pregame and see what that's like. It could have some effect on what we do from a kickoff standpoint as well, of what we're doing with the ball, but we have to assess all that in pregame, and Keith will have to assess some of that in pregame as well, because the ball's going to carry for him more so than it normally would on deep ball, so we'll have to assess all that.
With Travis and kicking, him kind of handling every duty, how have you seen him handle?
I thought he's hung in well. It's challenging to do with all three, and fatigue can obviously set in. It's not the ideal scenario for us, quite honestly. I wish that we could break up those duties, but he's the best at all three of them, and we obviously want to give ourselves the best chance to be successful.
Does he practice differently? I mean, does he maybe not practice certain things as much?
Yeah, we limit his kicks at certain times of the week as we move through the week, especially tomorrow and Friday. He really gets limited, so his legs rested up for Saturday.
He said his coming here, I guess, kind of came together a little bit late in the process or whatever. How did that come about?
Well, as we were going through everything and what we had, initially my thoughts were to go with the high school kicker, but we kind of saw some things coming from the high school ranks maybe a year away from now that we thought we'd have a pretty good chance at, so we decided to go with the JC kicker and a high school punter in Corey, knowing that Travis did both and had the capabilities of doing both as a kicker and a punter. And then when he got here, he was able to do both, and ultimately is earning the job of doing really all three duties.
And it sounds like he was a really good, just kind of football player.
Well, he's a great athlete.
High school, yeah.
He's a great athlete. He's a runner. He's a thrower. He's got a tough-minded mentality about him, which is always kind of cool to have in your kickers.
Does it, with John Embry and what he's going through right now, does it show how tough it is to take over a program and really kind of go in and change the culture, change everything about it?
Well, yeah, it's challenging, and John's a good football coach. He's got good coaches on his staff. This is a difficult conference, and week in and week out, there aren't any breaks, and you have to come to play, and then you're trying to recruit against all these same coaches and teams, and so it's challenging. I know they're working hard, and those kids are still playing hard for him, which is good to see.